Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, March 7, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the last been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next one, John 68 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place as we head into Saturday morning. What do we see? We see some dots of green surrounding the island, maybe some isolated showers. Then by Saturday afternoon, we see some of that across section to some central and western parishes. Let us match that latest Euro to the latest GFS. Saturday morning, we see a dot of green right here across the northeastern end of the island, maybe Portland. Then by the end of the day on Saturday, we see rainfall in the greens across western parishes. Let's see what's going to be taking place on Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we see some rainfall surrounding the island once again in the greens from the western end to the eastern end. And then by the end of the day on Sunday, what do we see? Some isolated showers across sections of some central and western parishes. Let's match that to the latest GFS. We see rainfall across the eastern end, waters to the southwest of us on Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across the far western end. Let's see what's going to be taking place on Monday. Monday morning, we see some isolated showers across the water to the northeast of us. Then by Monday afternoon, we see some isolated showers across sections of some central and western parishes. Definitely not as robust as what we had earlier this week, if not last week. Definitely heading into real March territory with the dry conditions for sure. Let's see, Monday morning on the GFS, rainfall across the waters to the north of us. Monday afternoon, rainfall across northwestern parishes. We also see the moisture associated with that frontal system extending from the east coast of the US all the way down to Florida, the northern Bahamas, western Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and portions of Central America. And for the same time period, we see that it is almost similar in terms of the position on the Euro. GFS is a bit more towards the east, more so into portions of Central Cuba and the Cayman Islands. Euro is more so to the west across more so western Cuba, southern Florida, and the Yucatan Peninsula right there. Let's continue as we head into Tuesday morning. What do we see? We see the moisture associated with the frontal system definitely pushing eastward. We see that there's not much expected across Jamaica or the water surrounding us on Tuesday morning. But Tuesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. Let us match that Tuesday morning, that Tuesday afternoon forecast to the GFS. We see rainfall on Tuesday morning surrounding the island. We also see the frontal system's moisture extending down into the Bahamas, Cuba, the western Caribbean, including portions of Jamaica. And then by Tuesday afternoon, we see that rainfall in the greens across eastern, central, and western parishes. So the highest chance for rainfall seems to be on Tuesday. Very interesting forecast for sure. Wednesday morning, we see that rainfall surrounding the island. Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes on the Euro. Let's match it to the GFS. Wednesday morning on the GFS, we see that rainfall surrounding the island. Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Looks like it's going to be a very wet Wednesday afternoon at that. So Tuesday and Wednesday, very interesting with the afternoon rainfall, especially on Wednesday. I think I even see some dark greens, even to some slight yellows across the western end. We'll see it actually goes. Heading into Thursday morning, what do we see? We see some isolated showers across the northern portions of the island, and we see some isolated showers to the south of us. Then by Thursday afternoon, we see some rainfall across some southern and eastern parishes. Let's see what the latest GFS is showing. Thursday morning, rainfall across the northeastern, the eastern, and the southern ends of the island. Then by Thursday afternoon, we see a rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday morning, we see that rainfall extending from Puerto Rico all the way to the south of Hispaniola into portions of eastern Jamaica. Then by Friday afternoon, well, I guess we're going to be stopping it right here. Not going to be seeing Friday afternoon because we're stopping at the 168 hour mark. So this is valid for 7 a.m. on Friday, March 14. That's the end of the 168 hours. Let's see what the latest GFS is showing. Friday morning, we see that rainfall. It's not only extending from Puerto Rico all the way down to the south of Hispaniola, but through Hispaniola, as we can see here, into Jamaica. Very wet Friday morning at that. Friday afternoon seems to be having rainfall still coming into portions of eastern Jamaica. Very interesting if this actually verifies. So it seems like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be very wet, very moist during the afternoon hours. It's going to be interesting to see if that actually unfolds. Let us match the accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the year and the GFS. Let's see if we have consensus. So both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now all the way up until Friday, March 14. And we can see the greens into the yellows into the oranges that represent what we see here on the key on the right. That's a 0.2 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall expected for portions of the Bahamas, Florida, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and we can clearly see even more rainfall. In the dark reds that represents 2 inches of rainfall, and the purples into the pinks that represents 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. And clearly we can see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across portions of northern South America, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, southern Venezuela, western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, sections of Costa Rica getting in on the mix. And we also see some more rainfall in store for a section of the Yucatan, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and eastern portions of Nicaragua. Very interesting total accumulated precipitation forecast now. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast, especially in terms of the total rainfall that's expected across sections of northern South America. Those are the areas that could pick up some amount of isolated flash flooding. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation over the next 7 days from both the Euro and the GFS, all along it has been showing that the Euro was the one that was more robust in terms of the rainfall totals, showing the blues into the greens that represents anywhere from maybe 5 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to 28 millimeters of rainfall, as we can see there. But now the GFS is starting to go more, a bit more robust than the Euro. Look at all of these greens into the yellows. Very interesting at that. This is representing anywhere from 15 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to 48 millimeters of rainfall. We see it's going to be especially across some northern and eastern parishes. A very interesting forecast, even although the Euro isn't showing that as yet. By the end of the 168 hours, we'll see if the Euro tries to play catch up tomorrow or the days coming as we head into next week. Either way, it looks like from Tuesday all the way back to Friday is going to be wet afternoons, and we're definitely welcoming it. We don't want the dry weather at all. Rainfall is always good as long as it's not too much all at once to cause a lot of problems. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure right here across portion of the Bahamas and Florida, and another ridge of high pressure somewhere right here across the northern portion of North Atlantic. And we can see numerous frontal systems to the east of the ridge of high pressure, another frontal system east of the ridge of high pressure extending down into portions of Jamaica, Hispaniola, where it has induced a trough in the region. Another trough is right here situated to the north of Puerto Rico. And we know the ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. First of all, the clouds associated with the trough to the north of Puerto Rico, the clouds associated with the frontal system extending down to portion of Hispaniola and Jamaica right there. And we can definitely make out the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west from the main development region into the Caribbean, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, March 7, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast of parts of some northeastern parishes in Jamaica, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Friday afternoon. I know northeastern parishes are basically talking about St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, while eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 8:06 a.m., the visible satellite image was posted not only here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but it was also posted on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the visible satellite image that was posted at 8:06 a.m. or around 8:06 a.m. highlighting some clouds bringing some isolated showers to section of northeastern Jamaica, sections of St. Anne mainly, but definitely saw the Doppler radar imagery at that time, and it showed that we were receiving some rainfall out to sea to the north of Portland, to the north of St. Anne and St. Mary, but some of these clouds definitely came onshore across sections of St. Anne this morning. Then by around 4:36 p.m. the visible satellite image was posted once again, and it highlighted clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, more so the western sections of eastern parishes. So we're talking about sections of Kingston, St. Andrew getting on some of the action, so too St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland definitely gotten on the overcast skies, if not some amount of rainfall for sure. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images and see how it all played out, we can make out the low level flow of the winds and the clouds from the east. We can make out the upper level wind shear blowing those high cloud tops towards the south, and even while we were losing the sunlight, we're still getting in some amount of clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers to sections of some central and western parishes, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Westmoreland, Hanover for sure. And if we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite images, we can make out the clouds, that's the high level clouds, being streaked off from north to south by that upper level wind shear from the northwest. We spoke about this in yesterday's video. Definitely have those blues into the greens to represent some cumulonimbus clouds, and we even see some sparkling white dots right here across southern Trelawney and northern Manchester. We know the sparkling white dots represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely had a brief thunderstorm before all was said and done, and we can still see some amount of milky white shades that represent cloud cover across sections of some south, central, and western parishes. Maybe some cloud cover, if not some isolated showers, still taking place as we speak. And if we take a look at See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 3:25 p.m. showing the Barbican in St. Andrew live cam, we can see that we definitely had some moderate to heavy rainfall. Look at that. Can barely even make out the hills. Can barely even make out the area. Look how it is blanketed in white. Definitely got some decent rainfall for sure. People in their vehicles going about their business with the windshield wipers on. Definitely some decent moderate to heavy rainfall for sure, and I am pretty sure that the people who reside in these areas are grateful for the rainfall to cool down the temperatures. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we might have had the rainfall today. Even although it's not 100% accurate, you can definitely deduce that we had that rainfall in the morning across northern areas, then across sections of some central and western parishes, across the island for sure. That's where we got the daytime heating convection. And if we reload these very images and look at the latest still image, which is actually 005 UTC, is it? Let's see. I would think it would be showing me up to 015. Okay, I guess that's where it wants to stop. So 005 UTC is actually 7:05 p.m. and the time is now 7:28 p.m. I guess it's a bit delayed. Either way, we have some clouds right here in the milky whitish shades across sections of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, section of St. Catherine, maybe St. Andrew getting in on some amount of clouds, if not some isolated showers as we speak. The Cuban Doppler radar imagery is right here to confirm what we're seeing, and it goes all the way up to 720, thank goodness. And we can make out the greens into the yellows that represent some moderate, that's moderado, and fuerte, that's strong or heavy rainfall across sections of St. Elizabeth and Manchester, just as we saw on the infrared satellite image. And the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery not showing much of anything across eastern Cuba, western Haiti, or northeastern Jamaica. Neither is the Cayman radar showing western Jamaica or southern Cuba or the water surrounding the Cayman Islands. Taking a look at See Jamaica's YouTube channel's live cam. Flat bridge in St. Catherine. Another trailer crossing the bridge right here. Safely. People in their vehicles going about their business. Doesn't seem like it rained today in the Rio Cobra area right here. Bagua Gorge in general. Definitely dry conditioned for the most part, and we can see the Rio Cobra right here chilling. Water isn't rushing, water isn't up to the bridge level or the road level. Definitely decent times right now considering that it's the dry season. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they are planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in yellow shades, and we know the yellows represent what we see here on the key on the red. That's up to at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures, and we know the normal temperature for the month of March is around 87.3 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's about 30.7 degrees Celsius. So it should be receiving anywhere from 30.7 to 31.7 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. And we have at least one maintenance outage advisory here from my JPS Online's Twitter page to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that the power outage is coming their way on Saturday, March 8, 2025. We're referring to Almontown, Connolly Avenue, Arnold Road, and the East Heroes Circle in the parish of St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. So if tomorrow is a bit too hot for you, it states here that you should dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen, check on others including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water throughout the day. And put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see that we have an abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin. And when we have dry air across the Atlantic, basically makes the atmosphere stable, making it hard for it to rain, making it even harder for us to get a storm to form. And we see that there's a lot of dry air across the eastern main development region, across the Gulf right here. But we see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air across portion of the Caribbean. We see some breaks in the dry air and some blues. We see some yellows in there as well. That represents the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. And we also see moist air across the eastern Pacific, moist air across the main development region, southern areas. They're talking about the intertropical convergence zone. So that's what we like to see. We like to see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air across section of the Caribbean. We want the air to be moist. We want to have water in our pipes. So bring all the moist air, bring all the rainfall, come and they give it to us for sure. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see some slight shades of browns across portions of the main development region that represent the Saharan dust. But it's not significant. If it was significant, we would have been seeing the dark shades of browns that we know means very hazy skies that can cause respiratory illnesses like asthma, sinusitis. So we're indeed grateful that for 2 p.m. on Saturday, North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Northern South America, and Central America are all in the clear in terms of the Saharan dust. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues extending from the Gulf into the Northwestern Caribbean, the Central and Eastern Caribbean. That represents what we see here on the key on the bottom right. The 0.1 of an inch of, 0.5 of a meter wave height, all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see winds coming in from the east across the Caribbean, maybe 5 to 10 knots to 15 to 20 knots, curving northward into the Gulf as we can see here. And regarding the wave forecast for Jamaica, 1 meter wave height expected on the north coast, maybe 0.8 of a meter wave height on the south coast. And that's because of the winds that are expected. Up to 10 knots from the east on the north coast, up to 9 knots from the east on the south coast. We also see where that air is going to be piling up, where we're going to be having the least amount of winds across inland areas of some central and western parishes. That's where we could have the daytime heating, clouds building, then we have some isolated afternoon rainfall. And with the upper level winds coming in from the northeast for tomorrow, as we can see here, very interesting. We've been having more west, if not west southwest, if not west northwest kind of upper level wind shear. And we're getting a northeasterly kind of wind shear. So look at this. The infrared close-up satellite images were showing that the upper level winds were blowing the high cold cloud tops off towards the southeast, maybe southeast. Tomorrow it's forecast to come more so from the northeast if we get daytime heating convection. We'll see it actually goes. Maybe it would favor more of the rainfall on the southern side of the island. Let's see how it actually plays out. Both the Euro and the JFS models right here at around 7 a.m. showing consensus for maybe some rainfall across the waters to the north of Portland or on land in Portland. We see the Euro trying to incorporate the waters to the north of St. Mary, St. Anne and Trelawney, to the south of St. Thomas, south of Kingston, St. Andrew and St. Catherine. We'll see how it plays out. Either way, we're looking for what both maps are showing, and what both of them are showing is the blues represent some isolated shores across the waters to the north of Portland or on land in Portland. So that's what we're working with for 7 a.m. on Saturday. Some morning rainfall across the northeastern end. Then during the afternoon, what do we see? We see that the Euro is trying to incorporate sections of eastern, central, and western parishes in that afternoon rainfall at around 4 p.m. The GFS is more so western Jamaica, maybe sections of southwestern Trelawney, southern St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth. We see some slight shades of blues across southern St. and northeastern Clarendon, northern St. Catherine, and northwestern St. Andrew. We'll see it actually plays out. Either way, the forecast is something similar to what happened today. Maybe morning rainfall across northeastern parishes. Afternoon rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. And even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow. The Euro is a bit more robust than the GFS, going all the way up to 0.15 of an inch of rainfall with these dark greens. The GFS going only up to at least 0.08 of an inch of rainfall, very low chance. We'll see it actually plays out, and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it, because we're in the month of March. We shouldn't even be getting any rainfall at all. We're in the peak of our dry season. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 10 millimeters of rainfall for the month of March. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we shall receive up to 2.2 inches of rainfall for the month of March. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your parish usually receives for the month of March or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So before we head into the Caribbean, look at all of the convection bursts taking place across sections of Colombia, sections of southern Venezuela, sections of northern South America in general, Suriname, French Guiana. But we see the isolated shower activity pushing from east-west from the main development region through the Caribbean. We also see the line of clouds associated with the frontal system extending down to Hispaniola, section of Jamaica, trough that does induce into portion of Jamaica as well. Either way, if we match the Doppler radar images to what we just saw, we can actually make out some rainfall across section of southern Puerto Rico, central Puerto Rico, the waters to the south, west, and east of Puerto Rico as we speak as of 7:30 p.m. But loading these images from earlier today, let's see what was taking place. Section of southern Puerto Rico definitely gotten on some moderate to heavy rainfall, especially the southwestern end where we see these yellows and oranges. We also see some rainfall coming in from the north affecting portion of the British Virgin Islands. Section of western Guadeloupe definitely gotten on their fair share of isolated showers. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out that rainfall coming in from the northeast, especially passing to the south and west of Barbados. We see some isolated showers passing through sections of Martinique, section of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Grenada definitely getting in on some moisture as we speak. We also see some of that moisture pushing towards Tobago, Trinidad next in line if they aren't already receiving rainfall. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across section of Colombia, section of northwestern Venezuela. Regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, look how dry the northwestern portion of the basin are. We're talking about Florida, Cuba, Bahamas, the Yucatan Peninsula, much of Central America, definitely dry. Whites and grays represents the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall within the next 24 hours. But we're seeing some isolated shower activity in store, maybe for a portion of Jamaica, section of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico for sure getting on some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours. So too section of the Leeward Islands, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, maybe sections of Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago. While it's northern South America that's going to be picking up the most rainfall, as we can see with the dark greens, yellows, oranges, reds here that represent all the up to 1 inch of rainfall for sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, southern Venezuela, western Venezuela, Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, as we can see here. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.